Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Sociology with Mahima. In this video, we will cover the Unit 1 of MSOE 1. We will discuss what is education and literacy, Paulo Freire perspective on education, and dimensions of education. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe for more IGNOU and sociology related content. So, let's get started with what is education. Education in its most basic sense refers to the process through which an individual is brought up, guided, and developed into a mature member of society. The term education is derived from the Latin word educare, which means to bring up, to lead out, or to develop. This origin itself highlights that education is not limited to the transfer of information but is concerned with drawing out and nurturing the inherent potential of the individual. In its widest sense, education involves the moral, intellectual, and spiritual development of a person, shaping not only what individuals know but also how they think, behave, and relate to others. It includes the cultivation of values, attitudes, skills, and character traits through explicit instruction, such as formal schooling, as well as through implicit processes, such as growing up within the family, kinship, networks, peer groups, and the wider community. Thus, education is a continuous social process that extends beyond classrooms and textbooks, encompassing both formal learning in schools and informal learning through everyday social interaction and socialization within society. Now, let's look at what is literacy. Literacy is often used interchangeably with education in everyday language, but in reality, it has a much narrower and more specific meaning. Traditionally, literacy refers only to the basic technical skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic, commonly known as the 3 R's. In this limited sense, literacy programmers are designed to help individuals function more effectively in daily life by improving their productivity, enabling them to earn a livelihood, and protecting both personal and national interests. However, over time, the concept of literacy has undergone an important transformation, especially after the influence of Paulo Freire. Freire argued that literacy should not be a mechanical process of learning letters and numbers, but a critical and educational process that encourages people to question their social realities and participate consciously in society. As a result, literacy began to be seen as a means of improvement and social awareness rather than merely a technical skill. Thus, although literacy originally started as a limited set of basic skills, its meaning has gradually expanded, bringing it closer to the broader and more holistic concept of education. When we talk about education, it is very important to understand the Paulo Freire's perspective on education. Paulo Freire offered a transformative perspective on education by significantly widening the concept of literacy during the 1970s. He argued that literacy should not be understood merely as a technical skill involving reading and writing, but as a deeply educational and critical process. According to Freire, education and literacy must encourage people to ask fundamental questions about their social conditions, like why things are the way they are, and motivate them to work towards changing unjust or unequal situations when necessary. In contrast to earlier literacy programs that treated learners as passive recipients of knowledge, Freire viewed learners as active actors and conscious subjects who participate in shaping their own learning. His approach moved literacy beyond the classroom into the socio-political domain, emphasizing its connection with power relations, social inequalities, and collective action. Freire also highlighted the importance of socio-cultural and linguistic context, arguing that education must be rooted in the lived experiences and language of learners. This perspective came to be known as critical literacy, which refers to the capacity of individuals to think critically, question dominant practices, claim their rights, and challenge existing power structures as active citizens. Recognizing the profound impact of his ideas on education and social transformation, UNESCO awarded Paulo Freire a literacy prize in 1975, acknowledging his contribution to redefining literacy as a powerful tool for empowerment and social change. Education has many dimensions, but in this unit, we will mainly focus on four dimensions, which are education as preparation for social role, education as cultivation of reasoning ability, education as learning what children want to know, and built-in value in education. Now let's understand these dimensions one by one. Education, when understood as preparation for social roles, is seen as a deeply moral process aimed at shaping individuals so that they can live harmoniously within society. Ancient Greek philosophers such as Socrates and Plato strongly believed that morality is the foundation of true happiness and fulfillment in life. For them, a good moral life is not based on blind obedience or habit, but on a rational understanding of virtues and truth. Therefore, education should cultivate philosophical reasoning because the ability to think rationally enables individuals to distinguish between right and wrong and to live a good and meaningful life. Plato believed that knowledge is innate, meaning that the soul possesses knowledge even before it enters the body. Learning, therefore, is not the acquisition of new information, but a process of recollection, where the teacher plays the role of a guide who helps learners rediscover the knowledge already present within them. In this context, mathematics occupied a central place in Plato's educational philosophy, as it trained the mind in abstract, disciplined, and logical thinking, allowing learners to rise above the distractions of the empirical world and approach universal truths. For Plato, education was primarily about the training of character, not the mere transfer of information. Cultures such as music, literature, architecture, and drama played a crucial role in shaping moral character. However, Plato was deeply critical of literature and drama that portrayed gods and heroes in immoral or disrespectful ways, as he believed such representations could corrupt the minds and characters of learners. He strongly opposed role-playing or imitating immoral characters, arguing that repeatedly acting out immoral roles could shape a person's nature in undesirable ways. In his work, The Republic, Plato divided society into three main classes: philosopher kings who rule, auxiliaries or military defenders who protect the state, and workers or producers who meet material needs. Education, according to him, should be role-specific, designed to prepare individuals for the particular social function they are meant to perform. The curriculum should vary according to a person's intellectual ability and their destined role in society. While Plato's ideas greatly influenced educational thought, he was also criticized for promoting a totalitarian and highly restrictive educational system, as it limited individual freedom and reinforced rigid social roles. Education as the cultivation of reasoning ability, as explained by Aristotle, marks an important shift from Plato's philosophy. Aristotle clearly rejected Plato's idea that knowledge is innate and already present in the soul. Instead, he argued that all knowledge begins with sense perception and the experience. According to him, human beings first observe the world through their senses, and learning takes place through inductive reasoning, that is, by moving from particular observations to general principles. For example, when a learner repeatedly observes birds gradually turning into flowers, the mind forms a general understanding of growth and development. Thus, reasoning develops step by step from lived experiences rather than recollection of innate ideas. Like Plato, Aristotle believed that education should be regulated by the state because education shapes the kind of citizens a society produces. For him, education was not a private matter but a social responsibility aimed at preparing individuals to fulfill their roles as responsible citizens. The central aim of education was moral development and the cultivation of virtues. Aristotle emphasized that moral virtues are not inborn, rather, they are acquired through habit and repeated practice. His famous statement, "We become just by performing just acts," highlights the idea that virtue develops through action. Therefore, proper guidance from parents, elders, and teachers is essential in shaping moral character from an early age. Aristotle outlined distinct stages of education. Up to the age of 7, the focus should be on physical development and the basic character formation within the family. From 7 to 21, education should be state-controlled, including subjects such as gymnastics for physical strength and reading, drawing, and music for intellectual and moral refinement. After the age of 21, education continues as lifelong liberal education, which aims to free the mind from ignorance and cultivate rational thinking. This liberal education was meant primarily for free citizens and included disciplines such as logic, ethics, politics, metaphysics, science, aesthetics, and biology. However, unlike Plato, Aristotle did not support higher education for women, reflecting the limitations of his thought within the social context of his time. Education as learning what children want to know strongly criticizes the nature of formal schooling and its methods. This perspective argues that formal education promotes uniformity, competition, and control through rewards and punishments, rather than genuine understanding. Compulsory schooling is seen as authoritarian and oppressive because it forces children to learn predetermined content in fixed ways. Such a system, according to critics, suppresses freedom, creativity, and independent thinking, and instead produces obedient and compliant individuals who are motivated by fear, greed, and envy rather than the curiosity and joy. In this way, the education system does not merely teach subjects but also controls children's minds, choices, and way of thinking. John Holt, a major advocate in this view, argued that learning should be based on freedom and choice. He believed that children are naturally curious and capable of learning when they are allowed to explore what genuinely interests them. Education, therefore, should not be imposed from above but should be voluntarily accepted or even rejected by learners. Holt emphasized the idea of real or true education, which does not come from rote memorization, textbooks, or examinations, but from experience, action, and direct engagement with the world. According to him, children learn best by doing, by experimenting, asking questions, making mistakes, and discovering answers on their own. This approach also highlights the emotional conditions necessary for learning. Holt strongly believed that fear, humiliation, and pressure inhibit learning because they make children anxious and insecure. In contrast, confidence, trust, and encouragement enhance learning, allowing children to think freely and creatively. When children feel safe and respected, they are more willing to explore, question, and understand. Thus, education should focus on creating an environment where children can learn what they want to know through experience and self-directed discovery, rather than through coercion and control. The idea of built-in value in education, as explained by R.S. Peters, emphasizes that education is not merely a means to achieve external goals like employment or income, but has normative and intrinsic value. That is, it is valuable in itself. According to Peters, education involves intentional initiation of individuals into worthwhile activities that are pursued for their own sake, such as science, history, literature, and philosophy. These fields are not simply useful tools. They broaden understanding, develop reasoning, and enrich human life. Therefore, education necessarily implies the deliberate transmission of something that is considered valuable by society. Peters further argues that an educated person undergoes a positive transformation. Education changes the way a person thinks, understands, and relates to the world. It is not limited to formal classrooms or textbooks. Doing, exploring, and experiencing are also important educational processes. However, he makes a clear distinction between education and mere skill acquisition. Learning a skill alone does not amount to education unless it leads to understanding underlying principles and meanings. True education goes beyond memorizing facts. It develops insight, judgment, and a broader outlook on life. Ultimately, Peters views education as a process that aims at all-round development, often expressed in the idea that education is for the whole man. This means education should develop intellectual, moral, emotional, and social capacities together. By fostering deep understanding rather than surface knowledge, education shapes a person's values, attitudes, and a way of living, making it an end in itself rather than just a tool for achieving external rewards. That's all for today's class. If you like the class, please hit the like button and don't forget to check out the PYQs. They are extremely important. Thank you. See you in the next class and Happy New Year to you all.